Well, hello, hello, hello. I know one thing I'm gonna do is fix that opening because it's supposed to play music all the way to the end and it did not. But anyway, nevertheless, we are here. How y'all doing this evening? I am Heather, your neighborhood sexuality and intimacy coach, and today we are discussing, child, how Alyssa done got on my last nerve. Let me adjust my camera here. She done got on my last nerve on Married at First Sight. And if y'all have been following Married at First Sight, I am adjusting my camera right now. I don't know what I want to do. If y'all been following Married at First Sight, y'all know this has been like the biggest train wreck season. I don't know which one was the worst season so far, but I feel like this is one of the worst seasons, and one of the reasons why is because I'm gonna need production and those experts to step in a lot sooner when they see the stuff happening. It's not enough to say we're monitoring the situation. They sound like people, like when you're looking at, I don't know, utilities or something like that. We're monitoring the situation and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's time to step in. So anyway, I wanted to talk today about this whole situation with Alyssa and how she is in victim mode because she didn't get exactly what she wanted in a spouse. Also, I just want to talk a little bit about just the whole episode that happened. So right now, with episode 6, we are still on the honeymoons. I'm really upset that we are 6 episodes and 12 hours into this season and we are still in Puerto Rico. I have a problem with that because y'all are wasting a lot of my time with this. We could have progressed by now, and I understand, trying to get a lot done, trying to say a lot of stuff in a small period of time, and you're talking about maybe just 6 days have actually only passed, but 12 hours of my viewing life has passed, and we are still at nowhere, and that is where I have a problem. So, in this episode, we're nearing the end of the honeymoon in Puerto Rico. And we see Alyssa still talking about, how she's a nice person. She said that for the umpteenth time. She's still mad that Chris has aggressive hands. There's just a lot to unpack with Alyssa. And one of the things I'm trying to figure out with these experts is, what is your vetting process with these people? Because y'all keep lying every season and saying that y'all go through all of these different um, mental exams and you do all of these things, and it's so extensive, and people, you really get to the meat and potatoes of what these people want is, in terms of a mate. And every season we see some tomfoolery and we're tired of it as viewers. I don't know about y'all, but as a viewer, I am absolutely sick of it. I've watched every season since the beginning, and it just seems like every season has become more and more theatrical because either these people are not genuine about wanting to find a mate, because obviously looking for one on their own was not working, and then number two, looking for airtime, or they're looking for shock value while they're on television. So I don't know, I question a lot of their intentions as far as coming on this show and wanting to be married. But then I also question the intentions of the experts and production, because at this point we just over sensationalizing people doing and saying whatever they want to do and say just for the sake of doing and saying. So I don't like that. I really don't like that, and frankly, I'm tired of it. And then every season I get rolled back into watching it, and I don't understand me at this point. So let's talk about Alyssa. She's talking to, when we first see that they've opened up the episode. They're talking about, we see Pastor Cal and all these people talking about, we've monitored their situation. We're gonna find them some more activities to do. Bro, we're not doing no more activities. Anytime she around him, she said just being around him makes her ill. She hates him. She's repulsed. I don't know where you think they can come back from that. Like, I don't see what y'all seeing, and I need to see the book y'all reading from, because this ain't the book to do this show with. Like, I I don't no. So here we go. Old girl is running around. They're playing tennis. She's playing tennis and has to take off her raggedy shoes. And they seem to have a good time. But then, as soon as they start to have a conversation about, hey, where is this going? Then she goes into shutdown and victim mode again. Now, she's talking about what I find interesting. She is talking about she wants to be part of the experience so that she can hang out with her friends in the apartment. They're not your friends, Alyssa. They are people that you know. Those are acquaintances that you just met a few weeks ago. And I have a feeling they don't want to be around you either. Um, she's talking about that's why she wants to move into the apartment. This is about the experience. Ma'am, no one wants to experience marriage with you. They wanted to experience marriage with their spouse. And now, if they end up forging a friendship with you as a result of the experiment, then that's all gravy. But they did not sign on for this to become members of, this isn't summer camp, this isn't joining a sorority house, this is not moving into a dorm, this is not any of that. This is not going into a boarding house. This is not moving into a, what do they call it, a commune. None of that, none of that. This is an 8-week experiment with people who said, I will leave the fate of my married life in the hands of some experts because there's something that I am doing that ain't right. And so since I can't do it right, I'm gonna let somebody who know what they doing do it. That is what this experiment is about. It ain't about kicking it and coming over to nobody's house and drinking and hanging out and partying and stuff. Nobody else said they had an interest in doing that but you. So I find that interesting. But I also find it interesting that anytime Chris asked her any outright, questions about, her feelings moving into the next phase, that she becomes immediately defensive. She wants to talk off camera. She doesn't want anything, she doesn't want anybody saying anything to her. I find that interesting because to me that says that you don't want to be held accountable for your words. So she don't want any cameras around. She don't want any witnesses. She don't want anybody saying anything because this will hold her to what she said. And um then there are no witnesses. I don't know what's going on in this child's head, but frankly, I'm tired of it. I'm also tired of production and all of them coddling this behavior. And I will tell y'all, in the past seasons, I've seen them talk a little bit more. And when these people were not being um, for instance, the season with Brandon and Taylor, when Brandon was wilding out, they got, it wasn't no let me hear you out. It was like, we need you to be here, 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 and here. And when I think AJ was wild, because AJ was wilding out too. I don't care what he said. He ain't get no bad edit. He was acting crazy. When all of these other people have been acting out of character and everything, production will come up on them. Look, this is what we need. Put the mic back on. Blah 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 blah. And I see with her, it's a bunch of coddling. Everybody's like, oh, well, And the only time I've seen anybody really say something like, bruh, this, I don't know what you thought you signed up for, was when, I can't remember his name, but we got to know him last season and the season before because he had to deal with Chris and Paige and then Hurricane K and Zach. But he's the only one that was coming straight forward and being like, look, this isn't single at first sight. It's married at first sight, little girl. But everybody else is, hey, how do you feel about this? Number one, she shouldn't have gotten her own hotel room on the expense of the show when they first got married. That should have been left up to her to pay for her own room. So that's number one. They shouldn't have budged on that. Number two, she shouldn't have gotten on that plane. If she felt so uncomfortable and so unsafe with Chris, then she should have not gone on a plane. Because let me tell you, when Zach and Michaela were went on that trip last year, and Zach ended up having COVID, they put Michaela right back on a plane and sent her back to Houston. So I'm trying to figure out, since she is like, I don't want to be here, I don't want to touch him, I don't want to look at him. I'm just, somebody call the police because I'm hurting just from looking at him. If she had that much of a problem, why not put her back on the plane instead of letting her get a free vacation? And I have an issue with that because what we're not gonna do is keep on rewarding bad behavior with trips to Puerto Rico. We don't need to be doing that. So I'm really, really having an issue with production and the experts. Let me throw them in there because they need some smoke too. Because of how they're treating Alyssa, I feel like they are really being too lenient with her. I don't give a damn how many tears come out of your eyes. If you're not acting right, you just not acting right, and that's just that on that. So anyway, we'll move on from that in a minute. Let me tell you something about these experts real quick. And now this is not on the show, but this is actually live tweeting on Twitter. And Dr. Viviana tried her hardest, honey. She was fledgling out there in the middle of the Twitter ocean, trying to pretty much defend herself and the other experts' reasoning for how they're handling this situation. Now, y'all got to remember, we are 14 seasons in. Dr. Viviana is not 14 seasons in. I can't remember how many, but she wasn't an original. The only person that is original to the Married at First Sight franchise is Dr. Pepper. She was from season 1 all the way to 14. Everybody else came in on subsequent seasons. So she about the only one at this point I may not have any issue with, because at least she'll speak up and say something at some point. But Dr. Viviana stay on Twitter trying to defend why they do things the way they do. And what really trips me out is that when people ask her questions about things, she really comes off as like condescending and really trying to like box. And we're like, we understand that there's certain things that we don't see as viewers due to edits. But then you gotta, really understand. You also need to see where people are coming from. We are angry as viewers because it seems like we're getting more of the same when it comes to these shows. Like, nothing's changing. You guys are picking the same type of people. When folks say, hey, I want somebody, at least 6 feet tall, and I want them muscular and everything, y'all go, yeah, well, no. And then you are always looking crazy why this experiment backfires, because you know I'm of two minds. I believe that your type is your type. People know what they're attracted to. And that's one thing, because you've asked people what they're attracted to. But then on the other hand, I'm also like, well, what you've been attracted to doesn't work, so give it a chance. But some of these people who have these no nonsense, deal breakers, like, the teeth things, all those types of things that are deal breakers, to me, if they are superficial, then don't pick them. Don't pick them to do this experiment. But if it's things that they said they can work with, and they're a person that can bend with certain things, then yeah, okay, let's pick it and let's move on. But it seems like it's a constant thing of trying to show people, this is better for you. But when you're dealing with certain people, they may say one thing and do something else. So I don't know. I'm losing a lot of faith in these experts because I'm not seeing a change in how things are done. I just see a lot of backpedaling at the end of every season. Like, well, we knew they wasn't that good together. But if you didn't know, then don't do it. Um. Anyway, so let's go on to the other couples because, yeah, let's go to the other couples. Elijah One and Katina. Let me just tell you. I don't think I've done too many episodes of this show. I'm not a fan of Elijah One. I think he's immature. Looking at it from my mama auntie eyes, because I feel like I'm mama auntie to most of these people in their ages, those early 30s. I ain't quite your mama, cause no, but definitely your auntie that probably helped raise you. Yes, that would be me. So when I'm looking at folks like Elijah One and all them, I see them as, like my nieces and nephews. So Elijah One is immature. Elijah one has a whole lot of ideals on marriage that just ain't gonna ring true for him, and especially someone who wants to be in a relationship, but also says that I have an alter ego that I've been dealing with, most of my life, and understanding that the only time he was not Isaac. He said it's been 2 years since he been Isaac, so that what happened in 2 years, a whole pandemic, so you ain't had chances to get out there and wild out. You had a lot of time to be by yourself. So I don't think that all of that is out of him yet. I think that he just had a lot of time to reflect. But I don't think that we done seen the end of Isaac. And so for that, I really have an issue with that. Also, and not to say that there is an issue, and I don't know if he's actually been diagnosed with ADHD. Let me say this. I don't know if he actually has an official diagnosis, or if he just has decided, he's kind of self-diagnosed. But I don't like the fact that he's leaning into that a lot of times as an excuse why he acts the way he does. It's like, hey, the reason why I'm being disrespectful is because I have ADHD, and I'm like, no, that's not. You just disrespectful. Or hey, I like to challenge people because, and he brings that up a lot. What he did in the first couple of episodes, and that's kind of been everyone's excuse around why he acts the way he acts as well. So I am interested to see how this is going to play out for him as well. I don't have ADHD. I do have, people in my circle who have been not diagnosed and everything. And I know that you can manage it with either techniques, or a combination of techniques, and with some type of medications or anything. But I don't see most people leaning on that as the reason why their behaviors are just, all over the place, or why they would be just an ass to a person, to someone. Usually, I don't, most people don't lean into that. So I saw that a lot of people were like, well, that's why he's like, that's why he acts the way he does. And my thing is, he's just been able to get away with his behaviors a lot of times. I would say most women probably think he's attractive. Um, yeah, so a lot of that stuff a lot of things you can skirt by or skirt around because you just, attractive. So people, oh well, I'll give you a second chance because you cute. That don't work for me. Like, people in their 30s look like children to me. So I'm like, I don't care how cute you are, you need some discipline. So there's that. He and Katina on this horse. Now I'm gonna say this about Katina. I think she's very patient, and I don't think it's fair to have a super patient person with somebody who's like him. I hate the fact that people always go, well, you need someone patient. No, you need somebody to make you stop. And patience isn't always the thing. Sometimes you just need somebody to call you out and just say, what is going on? Look, I'm not going to do this. And he's doing all this testing. He's, oh, well, I'm trying to push her to her limit and everything. I don't trust people like that. I don't trust people that are always trying to push you to a limit, are being genuine people. And I've said this before. I don't like it when men test women as far as strength is concerned, or try to do a stress test or things like that, especially a romantic partner. Because my daddy always told me, don't you try to play fight no boys. And don't be letting nobody try to push you to your limit, because those people are always looking for what they can and can't do for you or to you. So to me, somebody that want to play fight, trying to see how strong I am, so that, if something happens in the future, they know how far they can take it with me, or how much further they can take it to me. Well, she's this strong, so I just know I can toss her across the room. So I take things like that into account when I think about people like that, because I'm like, I don't like that, because why are you needing to test me, and we are apart? We're partners. You don't need to test me, and I don't want to test you. So that's that part of growing up that he needs to do, because we're not kids on the playground no more. I don't need that. I don't need you to strength test me, and I didn't say I wanted to work out with you every day. So that's something that she's going to have to ring in, nip in the bud when it comes to him, because he's one of those, if you give him an inch, he'll take 5 miles. So you have to watch a person like him. He can calm down, but she's gonna have to do a whole lot of asserting herself with him and not being so nice about it. There's a way to be direct, and you can be kind. I don't believe in being nice. I believe in being kind. Nice is nope. You can be kind. So I'm still watching them. He has some good moments though. Like, I like how he and Lindsay went back and forth, and I was cool with that. How he, just told her, look, you stay away from over here. But then also, I can see how he needs to figure out what he gonna be doing as far as his wife is concerned. He cannot bring that same type of energy to a spouse that he could have brought to, someone he was dating, someone that, one of the guys or anything like that. You got to have a different set of communication skills when it comes to a spouse, especially if you're trying to be long term. Because ain't no way my husband could come to me and be like, "I'm gonna push you and see, child." No, it wouldn't be happening. Not today. Not ever. No, no, not ever. So that's what I think about the two of them. Um, Michael and Jasmina. Let me just tell you, Michael getting on my nerves, and I know a lot of people don't like Jasmina's personality, and I I don't know. I'm on the fence with Jasmina. She doesn't bother me too much. Other than I think that she has overthought what his sisters has said about him. With Michael got a lot of other issues, which is once his parents passed away, his sisters have been the most influential people in his life. And again, when you have a lot of I believe anybody can raise anyone to be. I don't believe you have to have a man to raise it, because if some people were waiting on a man to raise a son, then they'd be men before they have another man to raise them. Because I've seen success in raising everyone, but I do, because Michael's sisters cater to him, that's gonna be a problem. They've been the ones that raise him. That's their baby. They treat him very delicately because he's experienced a lot of loss. When they got married, they went to Jasmina and said, just be nice to our brother and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of the onus was put on her, as far as taking care of him. And to me, the detriment to that is he's never really had to have accountability for his actions. And so now when he comes into a situation where he's saying, I felt disrespected because you talked when I wasn't done talking, even though there was a actual pause in the conversation. Now we're seeing that he's used to them sisters going, oh, okay, I'm sorry, you know what, you right, little brother, you probably, you better be glad you the baby, all that kind of stuff. And what that ends up doing is sets him up for failure with other women, because now he thinks that all women are going to do that with him, and most women will be like, you want me to do what for what now? I did what? And it was an easy misunderstanding, because he was all in his head, which is what he says. When he gets to a point where things get too good, he'll start picking things apart, and that's exactly what he did. And so now that he's picking everything, including his wife, apart, now he's just coming up with, oh, well, you were being disrespectful because you talked in front of me and everything. And what that's doing is causing her to pull back as far as wanting to grow attraction toward him. I don't think she was initially attracted to Michael, but I do think she was willing to give it an effort to allow attraction to grow, because she's committed to the process. But it's very hard to be committed to a process with someone who keeps finding the dark clouds in all the silver linings. Now, on the other end of it, Jasmina's trying to be positive, but she has a tendency to be on the toxic positivity part of things, which is, you're not seeing things realistically, and you want to find everything positive out of it. Sometimes you can't be positive about a certain situation because, sometimes you need to let things play out. But I do believe when it comes down to it, he's going to be the problem in the relationship because he's going to always find something wrong to focus on. So as long as he's doing that, they're going to have a problem. And then also, if his sisters, she gonna have to have a conversation with his sisters. Like, what were y'all thinking? Because no, no. And then Michael, he ain't the most attractive person. Let me just say that. He just ain't. I'm fixing my camera, y'all. He's not the most attractive person uh on the planet. And there and this and Jasmina is a very nice looking woman. Um but I'm saying this to say he has a lot of stipulations about what he needs. Like, I'll keep talking about the relationships that he picked apart, and I'm like, why? Why? Why are you picking all these things apart? And I think it means that he just don't believe he deserves anything. And that's something he's got to work out within himself. He's got to figure out, why he doesn't feel like he deserves a good relationship. And why does he go out and self sabotage? Like, what's wrong? And it's not for anybody but him to figure out what is going on, because it's not anybody else's uh, burden when you have some internal things happening and you can't figure out what you want to do. So yeah, that's my thing with the two of them. Now, Noy and Steve, I think the biggest thing with Noy and Steve is going to be, it'll be her family, because she wants to have kids, and she's a little bit more of a romantic, and she's all in, I'm in love, and it's so funny to me how they get on this show and they go, they talk about all the things they want, and I hope that we are compatible sexually. And then when people go, well, did you consummate the marriage? Oh, we don't want to talk about that. We're not talking about, that's so personal. You're on a show about marriage. Married people have sex, I hope. Now, why is that a big deal? I never understood why that was a big deal. Why is talking about whether or not you consummated your marriage a sticking point for a lot of these people? Like, that really bothers me, because you agreed to talk about your relationship on television, and part of the relationship is knowing whether or not, or sharing whether or not you have consummated your marriage, because we want to know if it's progressing. That's how you know if it's progressing. Well, we liked each other enough that we wanted to see each other naked. Okay, well, now and how was it? Did it work it out? Did it help y'all bond anymore? And so, for me, if I'm talking to people, especially I'm a sexuality coach, right? I can't imagine being a sexuality coach and asking people about their sex lives, and they're like, we don't talk about sex. Then why are you talking to me? What can I do for you? I can't do anything for you if we're not gonna talk about it. I can't just pretend like I know. I just it doesn't happen. So, and I find that interesting again, because I ain't gonna talk about her no more. Yes, I will. Um, and that's the thing I never understand about Viviana, because she's all I don't know, y'all. Viviana ain't my favorite. She just ain't my favorite. I'm just say that. I don't like it. I'm move on to the next people because I'm irritated. Okay, Lindsay and Mark the Shark. Look, I'm real mad at Alyssa because I just wanted to focus on how much I didn't like Lindsay this season. That's all I wanted to focus on. I wanted to focus on how she just over the top too much. She's talk too much. She get on my nerves. She's saying whatever. People looking at her like she crazy. She laughs, and the laughs are always kind of weird because they have nothing to do with the conversation. I wanted to be into this season talking about how much she annoys me. I wanted to do that this season. But what done happened? We gotta focus on this fool over here that's mad about hand gestures. Hand gestures. You killing my focus this season, Alyssa. I don't like it, and I don't know why you getting more camera time. And I need somebody to tell me why this is more important than how annoying Lindsay is. I'm having issues with that. Now, the other thing about this is uh this Mark the Shark, bed bugs, lease, no cats. What's going on with my landlord slash mother figure slash I believe that's his cougar and he just saying that slash it's a whole lot happening that we not getting all the information on. I need to know a few things, Mark the Shark. One of those things are, who is this woman really? This landlord. Because I don't feel like you have a landlord. I feel like you've been living in her property, and a lot of people that you have come into contact with over the past few years, especially since your father died, your grandmother's in, I guess, a nursing home, your mom is in a rehab place. So a lot you don't have a lot of family. So, the thing about Mark is that he has a lot of extended family. He's become part of people's families. There's a lot happening, right? And what I'm understanding about Mark is he has issues with setting boundaries with people. Because if y'all watch the after show, Lindsay was talking about how there were a lot of inappropriate relationships with certain people with boundary issues and things like that. Namely, a married friend, one of his female friends who are married, um, and she was calling Lindsay to give her advice on how to basically treat and handle Mark. Now, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but you can't call my phone telling me how to handle somebody. It's not gonna be. That's not what we're gonna do. That's not ever what we're gonna do. Just like I tell, because I know, I tell sisters and I tell moms, do not go up to a woman and tell her how to handle your son or your brother, because you've never been in a relationship with them, so you don't know. You don't know what you're coming into. You don't know what you're dealing with. So that is not your place to tell this woman how to deal with this man that she gonna sleep with. Okay, all right. Let's just talk about that. Back off. Back off. Just don't do that. So I'm wondering if this landlord has an inappropriate relationship with him. I almost feel like, because if you can remember, when they first picked him and Dr. Pepper goes into the houses and stuff like that, I think she has keys to his house. I think, of course, she's a landlord, but a lot of times, if you know the person as a landlord, you kind of live under different rules and regulations. I feel like she just came up with a lease, and he knows that. I think that he's told her, hey, I'm getting married, so, maybe I can't come over every Friday for dinner anymore. And I think they've had those types of meetings. And I think she's territorial and kind of like, you're not going to squeeze me out of this relationship, honey. Yes, I'm your landlord. I tell you what, you can get out since I can't be in the marriage with you. I think there's a lot of underlying stuff happening. I almost think that I think they've crossed the line some kind of way. And I really don't think that she's more so of a um, mother figure. I think she's just an older woman that he been kind of comfortable with. And now that the dynamic is changing, she about to change the lease. She done told him you can't have no cats, which is funny because he got 3 cats. And I think he said he inherited a cat from like a roommate or something like that, a former roommate. So there's a lot to unpack there. And then also this bed bug infestation. And then Lindsay said, "You can just move your stuff into my house." And I'm like, Lindsay, where? But okay, he said he got bed bugs. So where the bed bugs going in your house? So what we need to do? We need to get rid of the bed bugs. So my thing is, instead of going directly to get the stuff, why not get home, get some what they call it, but the bug stuff like the foggers, fog out that house, put all that stuff in storage, and then we'll figure out the places to stay and all that stuff. Cause y'all getting ready to move into an apartment anyway, so there's no point in bringing your stuff to her house. Take your things, okay, put them in storage after you done bombed the house. Then when you put it into storage, bomb it again, and then do that. That's what I think um, you should do. That is what I think would be most appropriate. It's really weird though. Their relationship bothering me too because Lindsay teamed too much, and Mark the Shark is just one of them people that he just want to be married. I don't even think he has a goal as far as what he wants out of a marriage. I just think he just don't want to be alone. And I think that's what it boils down to, because his family is leaving so quickly that he just wants to pair bond with someone. Um, that's what I really think is happening. Yeah, no, I don't know, I don't know. So let's go back to this dinner, y'all. Everybody's face at that dinner was like, Alyssa, what in the hell are you talking about? Alyssa done came up with a whole conversation that never happened when it came down to her and um Chris as far as the moving in situation. I think that she really wants to be viewed as someone that's a good person. And I don't think she has the capacity to be a nice and a good person. I think that she's been used to getting her way. You can call it spoiled if you like. I don't really call it spoiled. I call it just being used to getting her. She's been used to people not arguing with her. She probably keep up that much smoke all the time, and people just been like, they give in and go, "All right, girl, whatever." And that's what she's been used to. Um, and I think that anytime people challenge her and say, "Hey, this is not going to be that," then this is the fallout that you see when it comes to her. I also think that Chris, as much as I feel like most of this is about the obligation to the show now, more so than it is to the relationship, I think Chris need to be real blunt about, let me tell you something. I'm gonna move into this apartment because it's part of our contractual obligation. You ain't gotta move in. And he kind of said that, but he didn't. You ain't gotta move in, but I'm moving into this apartment because I'm going to fulfill my contractual obligation to this show. You ain't gotta like me, I ain't gotta like you. But the whole 1%, 100%, that makes 101. So if somebody's 1% in and you say you 100% in, if you add it up, it's 101. Um, no. But I get what you're saying as far as he's saying he's not gonna give up even if she shows a glimmer of trying. Here's why I think this is a problem. I think that sets you up to be a doormat. I think that anyone who's willing to put in well over, basically you're saying I'm putting 110% in to your 0%. If you're doing that, you're still not getting anything back. And the thing about relationships, at some point, they should be reciprocal. If I put in this much, then, and they're not all the time equal. That's the thing about relationships. They're not going to be, Teddy P told y'all wrong. If 50-50 never happens. 50% of effort. If you're just doing it like that, half and half never happens. Usually someone's always giving a little bit more than the other, because just depending on where you are in the relationship, where their head is at, just anything going on, a lot of times someone's going to give a little bit more. Usually it looks more so like 55-45. Sometimes it's 60-40. Sometimes, things like that happen depending on, like, if you are, let's say, in a relationship, you are with someone that's going through something that's really hard, really tough at work, right? And it's a lot that's happening and everything. And they don't have a lot of strength after work to come home and just give you a whole lot. So maybe you kind of step up a little bit and you support them throughout this situation or whatever. And that kind of helps pull them along. Or if they're going through something like a mental situation, and they just really don't have the capacity to give you everything, but you can tell they would try if they had the strength, then yeah, you would give a little bit more, because sometimes those relationships require a lot. But once you get down to like 90-10, then you have to start looking at what is wrong with this relationship. So if you already starting out talking about 1%, that's a problem. you know it's just a problem. I mean, if you're talking about looking at looking at a test score and everything, failing is hell. What, 60%? So I'm gonna need you to do a little bit better than that. So my thing is, I would have been better if he said, if you give 20%, then all right, cool. But 1% is absolutely nothing. That is no effort. That is not doing anything. That's not even serving you as a participant in the relationship. And Chris, we need to talk about your choices in life, because Chris is not a bad looking guy. He ain't the best looking guy. He's not a bad looking guy. But I think the thing about Alyssa, if you look at, some of her old Instagram photos and stuff like that, she used to a certain build, people who, drink protein drinks and bench press like, 1,000 pounds, and they doing dead weights and all this stuff, what they call deadlift. So she like those kind of people. So him having just a regular 35-year-old body bothered her, even though I'm like, Alyssa, you ain't got a banging body either. So why are you trying to require a certain look? I can't believe, I'm just looking at myself. I done had a million children and everything. I ain't a bad looking person, but I know what my body is and what it ain't. I would not feel comfortable trying to require something of someone else I couldn't even give me. I just find that interesting. Like, she's talking about all this stuff she wants, and I'm like, baby, you looked at yourself? Cause I mean, you alright. You just alright. You average. He average. Y'all can be average together. So I think that bothers me a little bit, that I don't. She average. She average. She's super average, and he is super average. And yep, yep, average, super average. Um, the thing with this episode, though, y'all, is I'm tired. We're 6 episodes in, and I can guarantee y'all, I am absolutely fed up with this situation when it comes to Alyssa and Chris, because of the fact that I think that at some point we all have to admit that this is just making for good TV when it comes to the production side. Because if they were really concerned about the well-being of either one of these people, then they'd give them the out to say, you know what, let's go ahead and send you guys back. Y'all can settle in to whatever and just agree to film with us. But, clearly this isn't working out and we missed the mark. The other thing is the experts. I don't want to hear Viviana talking anymore about what they do, because everything that she said on Twitter, y'all gotta go to Twitter and find her Twitter feed, because when I say it was light, they was lighting her up for a minute. They lit her up really good. And but it's just excuses after excuses, and there's nothing of substance that's being said as to why these processes are the way they are, or why they don't intervene um, more quickly, because we saw this with Chris and Paige, and everybody knew, that first, when he first started talking about he got a baby mama and all that stuff, that should have been it. No, you can't end the relationships. Now we understand that you can't make adults um, divorce each other, but what you can do is have them. There's a code of ethics. There's a standard that you can hold them to, so that we won't have this trouble again. Some of the other things that we had issues with, some of these other folks, like when Mindy, and I can't remember the boy's name. His name was Zach and Mindy. It's some of those things just shouldn't have played out. In New Orleans, I can't remember that guy's name, but he was acting crazy with the girl. And she was just asking him, where's his relationship going? And he felt like, he all offended because of that. And when these people are starting to go off the rails like that, look, jump on in and be like, listen, I'm gonna need you to grow up. Quit asking them, do they want a divorce? Of course, somebody's gonna want a divorce, but get to the bottom of some things. If we can see it as viewers, then I just guarantee you can see it as the experts that work with these people more often than we see in them, in a 2 hour span. So some of the onus has to go back to the experts, to production, to say that maybe we don't need to keep talking about trying to keep everything for sensationalism or for ratings and everything, but we're actually affecting these people's lives, and we're causing more divorces than we need to cause, and really they need to be annulled. I feel like, with most of them, their marriages need to be annulled and not them divorced. So I don't know what the legal situation where that comes from, but I just feel like they need to do better. I ain't got nothing else to say, y'all. I'll come back next week, I guess, to talk about this stuff. I think I wanted to talk about Ladies Who List Atlanta. I'm already tired of them too. Um, I can't see that show past one season. um, and we got to talk about Love Is Blind. So I definitely will come back with that, because I need y'all to catch up with all 5 episodes in the next chunk of episodes come in on February 18th. So we'll talk about that. Anyway, I believe that was really all I needed to share with y'all. Of course, if I had the crew here, then I would definitely share more. But I think we got it. I think we done covered it in 48 minutes. And if y'all had something to say, y'all would have posted something and said something. So anyway, thank y'all for engaging and indulging me in the foolishness that is reviewing this show. I am your neighborhood sexuality and intimacy coach, Heather, and I will see you guys next time on. Wait a minute. That's so funny because I didn't have my stuff ready. But yeah, definitely will see you guys the next time on another review. Don't know what we're gonna review, but we'll be reviewing something. So I'll come back at another time. Thank y'all for joining me.